Welcome in, Guardians. Finally, Old Man Sim has made a build for Titans. Don't be shocked when you become the most electrifying Guardian in all of Destiny. This build will have you jolting targets, chaining lightning, and thunderclapping enemies' cheeks. This is the Titan meta. But first, while you're here, please hit that subscribe button as we're pushing for 500 subs on this channel. Don't forget to smash that thumbs up like, turn on the notification bell, and leave a comment below. I do respond to all comments, so let me know what you think of this build or what changes you would make to this or what builds you want to see in the future. I do also stream on all platforms 3 to 5 days a week. The links will be below in the description. Come hang out. I do play with viewers, so let's go run some content together. Let's go run a raid, do some dungeons, or any other kind of content you want to run. All right, back to the build. Let's get into this. In this build, we will be using our Arc Titan with the Thunder Crash super ability. All right, and with the Thunder Crash, what you do is you hurtle through the air like a missile and crash into targets to inflict meteoric damage. You just dive in, you smash them in the face, and leave electricity jolt. It's a really cool super, but it is easy to miss, but you can direct it. So if you haven't used your Thunder Crash, I would say practice it, because it does take, it's a little bit different than a lot of the other supers, because you do control it all the way through. All right, as we are in the Season of the Deep, which is also known as the Season of the Arc, these are the artifact mods that I would use. Now, keep in mind, the artifact mods do change from season to season, but in my opinion, this build, even without these artifact mods, is still super OP and will be viable for future seasons to come. In this build, I use the anti-barrier auto rifle because we will be using the centrifuge auto rifle, so this will stop the anti-barrier champions from regenerating and putting a shield around themselves. Unstoppable hand cannon, I'm using this to stop unstoppables, obviously. Plus, hand cannons are getting a buff in the mid-season patch in season 22, so the hand cannon will be even more powerful. And lastly, I use the Overload scout rifle. I don't really use a scout rifle for this build, but it's good to have an overload on there just in case. Our jolts will be causing overload. Our different grenade and electrical stuff will be causing overload disruption. So you don't really need that in here. So I use authorized arc mods. So all arc mods cost only 1 energy. I use authorized melee mods. So melee mods only cost 1 energy. But here is the meat and potatoes of the mods that you need. Amped up. Staying amplified longer while your arcs are past equipped. So your amp lasts longer, which is really, really good for some of the different aspects of this build, and we'll show you later. Thunderous Retort grants bonus arc super damage if cast while critically wounded or while amplified. Lasts until the end of the super activation. So you're going to be amplified a lot with this build, moving around fast, doing extra damage and whatnot. So the Thunderous Retort will allow that to happen when you use your super. But you also get bonus damage if you're almost dead. So you're about to die, so you're just gonna go in and Thunder Crash real quick, do even more damage. Counter Charge, one of my favorite perks on this artifact tree. You gain a stack of armor charge when you stun a champion. You will be fighting a lot of champions in the in-game content. Just to be really good, you'll be getting armor charges. Armor charges are used for multiple things. Electric Armor, gain damage resistance while amplified. So you'll be amplified so much, you'll be even getting more damage resistance on top of your resilience, on top of your barrier, on top of everything else. Up next, we use lightning strikes twice. After throwing an arc grenade, you gain increased grenade recharge for a short period of time. Arc final blows extend the duration of this benefit. So you throw your grenade, you'll be ending up getting more grenade charge on top of having high discipline, on top of your other mods that you're gonna be having. So you're gonna get those grenade backs really quick, and you're constantly jolting enemies, constantly creating ionic traces that are be coming towards you. It's just absolutely phenomenal. Shock and all, arc final blows while you're amplified, which will be always amplified. Summon a burst of lightning that damage and jolts targets, which once again just keeps this chain going and chain of lightning going. And lastly, I have overcharged armory, weapons with the unstated hunger, nanotech tracer, rockets, harmonic resonance, and noble D's traits are always overcharged weapons for when you modify your item. You don't need to use this. I do have this on here in case I do end up going to, you know, one of the 𝕃𝕀𝕍𝔼 weapons or one of the Defiant weapons. I do have that on there, but you can really put anything else you want here. So let's get into the abilities, aspects, and fragments. For the abilities, you can either use Rallying Barricade or Towering Barricade, depends on what kind of content you're doing. If you feel you need that extra barricade, you'll see me using a lot of the Towering Barricade, but I will say Rallying Barricade is a better choice here just because it does recharge much quicker. So therefore, you'll be able to use your class ability more and spark those other recharges of your abilities quicker as well. I use Strafe Lift. You can use any jump you want here. Thunderclap, which is one of the big things this build is built around, especially your gauntlets. So with the Thunderclap, what you do, hold while grounded to plant your feet and begin charging your fist with arc energy. Release to unleash a devastating blast in front of you, dealing damage that increases with longer charge time. So you can just do it with a short charge time or longer charge time, depending on how much time you have. And then the damage increases the longer you hold it. If you hold it completely and just let it smash. Thunderclap is a really, really awesome melee ability, and I absolutely love it. It just melts everything around you. And also for this build, we'll be using the Pulse Grenade, a grenade that periodically damages targets within its explosion radius. So you'll throw it down, it'll start shocking enemies over and over and over again. It'll do a lot of damage to them. And with our fragments, it will also create ionic traces that will seek back to you. On to the aspects. First of all, we'll be using Knockout. Critically wounding a target or breaking their shield infuses your melee attack with arc energy and increases your melee range and damage for a short time. Defeating targets with your melee attack starts health regeneration and makes you amplified. So when you defeat targets, you get amplification, which is one of the many ways will be amplified. Plus, it makes pretty much your punch always a powered punch. All right, so we'll also be using the Touch of Thunder aspect, which focuses on your grenades. And with this one, we are going to focus on the pulse grenade portion. Creates ionic traces periodically as it damages target, increases in damage over time. So it makes your pulse grenade create more damage the longer that it sits there. And when we're having some fragments, that'll keep your grenade there a little bit longer, but also creates those ionic traces, and those are huge. And they will seek back to you, like I said before. Let's just go over real quick. Ionic traces are a pure bolt of arc energy that travels along the ground when seeking its creator. When picked up, ionic traces grant ability energy. So these traces will be bringing your abilities back quicker and quicker and quicker. You'll be throwing more grenades. You'll be doing more thunderclaps. You'll be putting your barrier up more. And all these things together will constantly be bringing that stuff back. Also, Jolted, which you've heard me talk about Jolted a few times already. The target is energizing destructive arc light. They take additional damage while jolted and chain lightning to nearby targets. Jolt damage causes overload champions to be stunned. So this is what's going to stun your overloads for you, so you don't have to bring the scout rifle, but it'll also chain lightning to other targets, and you'll be giving additional damage because your enemies will be jolted. To the fragments here, the Spark of Resistance. While surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. You'll be up close when you're using your melee, so you want this so you have resistance to incoming damage, plus the other resistance that we have as well, plus the resilience. It also gives you a boost of 10 strength, will help your melee come back quicker, which is big when you see what happens with this other fragments that we use. Spark of Shock. Your arc grenades jolt targets. This is what I said before. You're going to throw your pulse grenade, you're going to jolt targets, and you create more damage. You're going to create ionic traces. You do lose 10 discipline, but if you roll your armor right, you can get that discipline back. Plus, even though I always keep 100 discipline, you don't necessarily need it because you will be getting your abilities back so quickly, but I always do like specking into discipline. Spark of Magnitude. Your lingering arc grenades have extended duration, so this will make your pulse grenade last longer, creating more ionic traces and keeping the cycle going. And lastly, we have Spark of Discharge. Arc weapons' final blows have a chance to create an ionic trace. So when you're using your arc weapon, your centrifuge, or any other arc weapon that you may use, you will be able to have a chance to create another ionic trace. So when you create ionic traces, you'll be doing more ability energy regeneration. So as many of these traces as we can produce, and they do seek you once again, the better. All right, and let's get into the weapon that this build is built around. It is the Centrifuge Auto Rifle. It is the auto rifle, the exotic for the Season of the Deep. So the intrinsic trait, sprinting, sliding, and firing this weapon builds a temporary electrostatic charge, increasing range and reload speed. Final blows with high charge cause explosions, and maximum charge explosions blind targets. Well, if you remember before, blinding targets does also work on unstoppable, so this will kind of help with that as well. Now, I also know that Destiny doesn't like you to stack certain things, but this will stack, I do believe. This weapon is awesome, so what you can do is literally just run around in circles. When you're running around, sprinting, shooting, you'll build up that charge, you'll do the explosions, you'll blind targets, you'll get more range, you'll get quicker reload speed. It's a really, really cool trait. And then for the intrinsic perk, Regenerative Emotion, sprinting gradually reloads his weapon. So also while you're running, you'll be able to keep that charge going, because if you do reload manually, you will lose that charge. So you shoot, you get towards the end, you kill an enemy, instead of reloading, keep running, it'll automatically reload for you. It's really, really big for this build. And now onto the catalyst. By Amplify, this weapon gradually gains overcharge. So you'll constantly be amplified. So this is another way to get that overcharge for this gun, to do the extra abilities that you have. with the increasing of the range, the reload speed, it also gives you a chance to cause explosions and blind targets from having an overcharged weapon. Other weapons, like I said before, I use the hand cannon here to stop unstoppables. And then for my heavy, I'm using the plank stride. I probably just said that wrong, but the plank stride machine gun. It's just another weapon that, you know, does arc and it'll help chain lighting and help just start destroying things. I really like this machine gun a lot. I think that it looks really cool. But in either of these slots, you can use whatever arc weapon you want. The main build that it's built around is the centrifuge. So if you have another arc weapon you want to use as a heavy, you have a different weapon to use your primary, go for it. But I really do like the plank stride. Let's get into the exotic gauntlets that this build is also built around. It is called the Point Contact Cannon Brace. The perk for this armor is Hammer of the Gods. Defeating targets with your Thunderclap melee restores melee energy. Targets near you when you use your Thunderclap suffer lightning strikes and become jolted. Being amplified increases the damage of these lightning strikes. So once again, you'll be amplified so much you'll be causing more damage with those strikes that you'll get from using your Thunderclap, and you'll also be jolting enemies. And the biggest part, you'll be getting that melee energy back after you're using. You'll be getting anywhere between normally 9 to 20, 30%, depending on the type of enemy you're going against. You can get up to 50% if you kill bosses with it, but this will cause you to constantly have melee energy and make sure you necessarily don't have to spec into strength, even though Titans, a lot of times you do want to spec into strength. And talking about stats, like I always do, I always try to build into resilience first. Discipline's a really good one. With a Titan, you always want to try to build a little bit into strength, especially using things like Thunderclap. Now you'll see here, my strength is a little low. I have been trying to get that up some, but even at 36, 40, 50, it's enough because you'll be gaining that energy back so quickly, whether it be from the ionic traces, from the point contact braces, from multitude of other mods that you really won't be missing not having more strength. So I do like having my grenade at all times. I do like having my resilience all the way up. So it's kind of how I built into this. But I would say if I could change anything, I would move the mobility down maybe a little bit, maybe the recovery down a little bit, and putting that more into strength. All right, let's get into the helmet armor mods. And like I always tell you, for the general armor mods, use whatever you need to get your stats where you want them, whether it be resilience, strength, or discipline. So you really don't have to pay attention to those. Use whatever is best for you in the build. As for the mods, I like to use Ash as the asset. You gain super energy on grenade kills. You'll be using your grenade a lot. It's very powerful. It'll be lasting longer, so you'll be getting super energy for that. I also like using hands-on, gain bonus super energy on melee kills, so you'll be gaining more super energy by punching things, using your Thunderclap over and over again. And Harmonic Siphon. I use Harmonic just because it always costs a point, because it uses whatever build that you're using. Rapid arc weapon final blows create an orb of power, and orbs of power are always great, whether it's sparking ability regions, regaining health, gaining your super, whatever it is. Orbs are always great for you and your teammate. On to the gauntlet armor mods. First, we use melee kickstart. When your melee energy is fully expended, you gain melee energy. Your armor charges consume when you gain additional melee energy for each stack. So you build that armor charge up, you'll be getting melee energy back on top of the point contact braces, giving you melee energy back. You can get upwards to 60, 70% just from these two together alone. Heavy-handed, your powered melee final blows create orbs of power. Orbs of power are great. They give you the health regeneration. They start making your abilities come back. Impact induction, causing damage with a melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown. So you'll be using your Thunderclap, you'll be getting your grenade back. You're throwing your grenade, you'll be jolting targets, you're getting ionic traces. Just keeps the flow going. As for the chest armor mods, like I always say, use whatever resistance you need for the activity that you're going into. If you're going to an arc activity, solar activity, whatever it is, make sure you use resistance for that to help out mitigate some damage. I always like using concussive dampener, reduces incoming area of effect damage from combatants. It helps keep you alive from AoE effects. Charged up increases the maximum number of stacks of armor charge you carry by 1. This will help when we do that melee kickstart, so you have more armor charges to give you more melee energy back. And lastly, harmonic resistance reduces incoming arc damage from combatants. I use this on all of my things. I like using harmonic just because it only costs 1 armor charge, and usually you're trying to do whatever your build is. So therefore we're using arc. So I'm gonna use harmonic because I want to do arc resistance. Right, on to the leg armor mods. Invigoration reduces melee cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power. Those orbs that we're creating will be making our melee come back quicker, amongst other ways. Recuperation replenishes health each time you pick up an orb of power. So once again, we're creating those orbs, we'll be getting health back every time we pick up an orb. And then lastly, Elemental Charge. I really like this mod. I just don't get to use it as much as I want to. Collecting a Fire Sprite, Ionic Trace, Stasis Shard, or Void Breach, or destroying a Strand Tangle has an escalating chance to give you Armor Charge. So all those Ionic Traces that'll be coming to us from everything that we're using to create them will be giving us Armor Charge on top of other ways of getting Armor Charge, which with Melee Kickstart, those Armor Charges will help you get your melee back quicker. And lastly, for your Titan Mark, I like to use Outreach, reduces melee cooldown when you're using your class ability. You put up your Rally Barricade, you get your melee back quicker, you get a little bit of reduction of cooldown. Reaper, after using your class ability, your next weapon final blow spawns an Orb of Power, which we already saw what Orbs of Power do. They give us health, they give us supers back, they give us abilities back. So I like Reaper a lot because we will be using our class ability a lot with the Rally Barricade. And lastly, Bomber reduces grenade cooldown when using your class ability. So once again, we'll be reducing that the cooldown on the grenade. You'll be able to throw the grenade more often. You'll be literally having your abilities up all the time with these mods and the way everything is set up. All right, everybody, and that's the build. This is one of the most fun builds I've played with and makes me love playing Titan. You'll be able to electrocute and punch your way through all kinds of content, including Grandmasters, while having tons of fun doing it. This is the Arc Titan meta. The dim loadout link will be below in the description. But before you leave, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up like, click that notification bell, and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of this build, what changes you would make, or if you did try it, how'd you like it? I do answer all comments. Also, make sure you swing by the live stream on the platform of your choice where I do play with followers. Come hang out. Thanks for your time. Hope to see you next time, Guardian. Your boy Old Man Sim out. Peace.
Ooh, he just fucking made me do a fuck. That's how I dance in real life, bro. Just like that.